To have courage means to act in the midst of feeling great fear.
These are dangerous men.
So am I.
Follow the paths laid out for you, and I will kill you myself.
I work in the dark to serve the light.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In today's video we are checking out the brand new Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Mirage. But before we get started, I'm Fossil21. I love playing games and I love making videos, so if you guys enjoy the content, drop us a like on the video and consider subscribing to the page. I also want to drop a spoiler warning right here for anybody that either hasn't beaten yet or haven't played Assassin's Creed Mirage and even Valhalla, as a lot of the stuff we're talking about, particularly about Basim's story, does connect to the ending of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So here is your warning. And as the thumbnail says, I have 100% completed Assassin's Creed Mirage. I have done all of the trophies. I played on the PlayStation 5 and have gotten the Platinum Trophy. I even did that one extra mission, was like the pre-order bonus, or it was like the 40 Thieves or something like that. So I've done everything that there is to do in Assassin's Creed Mirage. And after rolling the credits on the game, I really enjoyed it. I had a blast with Mirage. Starting off with the story here, I personally really enjoyed it. I liked that it was a shorter, more focused story. They cut a lot of that fluff, as I would call it, that's in like Odyssey and Valhalla. Made it nice, condensed, really great characters. I thought the story was really great. In comparison to Valhalla, I don't think that I liked it as much as Valhalla. Valhalla is definitely the bigger story and more bloated for sure, and has its own issues, right? But I think the high points in Mirage just quite aren't as high as they were in Valhalla. At least for me personally. Nonetheless, that doesn't make it a bad game by any means. Game was still fantastic. Story was great. I really enjoyed the cast of characters, especially Basim. I really enjoyed seeing where he started from as like a street thief to how we see him in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Really enjoyed seeing that journey. All the voice acting, as I mentioned, was really great, especially Basim. I thought his voice actor was really well done. Just to recap here on the story of Mirage, the whole game follows Basim, who we were first introduced to in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and this is more or less his origin story of how he became part of the Brotherhood, or in this game, the Hidden Ones, as they're called in Mirage. Taking place in Baghdad this time, we see Basim start off as a poor street thief, trying to impress and catch the attention of the Hidden Ones here. He hears that they are after like this special box and sets out to try and steal it. Turns out that the people he was trying to steal from were none other than the Order, and they pretty much unalive almost everybody Basim cares about. He soon joins the Hidden Ones and trains under the mentor Roshan, and eventually becomes a Hidden One himself. And for most of the game, you're tracking down and taking out members of the Order, trying to find out what they're looking for in Baghdad. And towards the end of the game, we discover that the thing that they have been searching for this whole time was actually you this whole time. After confronting the head of the Order, El Bahamut, I probably butchered that name, but she tells Basim that there is a secret room under the Alamut, which is like the place where Basim learned to be a Hidden One and where he trained, and that the Hidden Ones have been protecting it and keeping it a secret from Basim this entire time. But before Al Bahamut can tell Basim what is in the room and what they've been keeping a secret, she is stabbed in the back by Roshan. She really doesn't like that she told Basim any of this stuff, and tells Basim that if he ventures into the past looking for stuff, that she is going to off him herself. Obviously, Basim feels betrayed and immediately heads straight to Alamut with his friend Hadia. And after a final battle against his mentor Roshan, Basim opens the secret door. We find out that the door can only be opened using his blood, the blood of an Isu. And if you've played Valhalla at all, you'll know exactly why. But long story short here, it's because Basim is a reincarnation of the Norse god Loki, which is an Isu. We find out that Hadia isn't real and that the genie that had been haunting him the entire game was all of the bad memories from his former life as Loki. Specifically, memories that he had tried to forget, such as his imprisonment. And after Basim sees all of this, he decides to embrace the past, becoming one with his past life as Loki. And at the end, we know that this is Loki and not Basim anymore, because of a few things. One, it's kind of like his mannerism is totally different. The way he talks seems to be a little bit more sinister. And the biggest clue for me is when Basm calls his eagle. Instead of the eagle landing on his arm, it attacks him and scratches his face instead, letting us, the audience, know that Basm is gone and all that remains is Loki. Overall, I thought that storyline was really well done. There is a part after you complete more of the opening sections of the game that the game opens up, and it's got 4 branching, I wouldn't even say branching paths. You got 4 different main quests that you could do, and you can tackle them in any order you'd like, which I thought was really cool. So you can kind of just pick and choose wherever you want to start from. They each start at different points in Baghdad. My only real con that I had with the story is that I wish that there was more connections or connectivity to Valhalla. Other than us knowing that he's Loki is really the only connection, which we knew before going into this game. If you've played Valhalla, it's like the big reveal at the end is that Loki is actually Basm. So I would just wish that we would have gotten maybe like an end credit scene, because at the end of Valhalla we see that Basm is alive and well and joins the Brotherhood there, or the assassin group that was with Lila. So we didn't get any sort of connection with that or set up to what we're going to see in the next game. So I was kind of hoping that we'd get something like that. After all, there is about 20 years in between Mirage and Valhalla. I want to say in Mirage he's like 20s, 30s, and in Valhalla he's in his 30s, at least Basm is. But as I already mentioned, I did enjoy the story. I love that it was much more small and focused. It's a much more story focused game. A lot of the side stuff is cut out. A lot of the, I call it fluff, that they had in Valhalla is totally cut out. Much more focused, and I really enjoyed that. Up next, let's talk about the gameplay.
I will make every last one of them pay.
Vengeance is not our way, brother.
I personally really enjoy the gameplay here. We're back to being assassins. Can you believe it? After so many games of not really being an assassin, it was a breath of fresh air to actually be a full-fledged assassin again. The game focuses a lot more on stealth and taking your enemies out with assassinations, so I really loved that component of it. Trying to hide in the bushes or hide on rooftops and taking out your targets, which is kind of the exact opposite of how Valhalla was. You just run in basically guns blazing every single time. I was not stealthy one bit in that game. I do like that the assassinations pretty much one-shot everybody, minus like the other assassin dudes with the 2 swords. I do like that they took a lot of the things from the original games that we really come to know and love and mixed it with some of the more modern stuff that they've been trying to do with Odyssey and Valhalla. So I thought it was a good mix of the two. I thought it was a good happy medium. There's a lot of things I liked, and then some of the things I liked from Valhalla. Good blend here. Overall, I thought the gameplay was fantastic. They do bring back the eavesdropping, sitting on benches, blending in, and overhearing what other people are saying and giving you clues and hints as to where you need to go. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. They also got rid of the leveling system. Now you don't really level up at all. You more or less get skill points after completing missions or doing contracts that give you skill points, and you can put those skill points into things like making it easier to pickpocket or picking up your throwing knives or even getting multiple assassinations at once. For me personally, I did really enjoy the Assassin's Focus. I thought it was really cool taking out like 5 dudes all at the same time. They also reduced the amount of tools and weapons that you get. Like in Valhalla, you have like a plethora of weapons and whatnot. Here you just have tools like smoke bombs, blow darts, traps, noisemakers. And for weapons, you just mainly have the sword and the dagger. I do wish that we had a few more weapons. Maybe some of the weapons that like the enemies use, like spears or bows. And like as I mentioned, the game focuses a lot more on stealth combat. But there's times where you accidentally mess up and then now you're surrounded by like 5 or 6 guards and you have to take them out or run away. So the open combat, at first for me personally, I wasn't a really big fan of. Basm is not really equipped to take out that many people in the open combat, and so more times than not, I ended up just getting offed and unalived. They do have like a parry system, but when there's just so many people there and you don't have very many tools, especially at the beginning of the game, it makes it very overwhelming to try to take all these guys out. But as you progress throughout the game and you get towards the late game and you have a lot more skills unlocked, you have a lot more tools unlocked, taking out all these people in open combat is a lot more fun and much easier to do. Anytime I got in a combat situation, it was so much fun. Like by the end of the game, I was having a blast with the combat. Some of the cons that I have, at least with the gameplay here, is that the parkour or like wall climbing still feels kind of janky. There were so many times where I accidentally climbed up something or jumped off a ledge that I wasn't trying to. I mean, it's better than Valhalla, I think, but not by much. All the parkour just it just kind of feels eh. Also, there's a few missions that I wasn't too big of a fan of, especially the missions where you had to follow somebody. There's two in particular that come to my mind where you had to follow some informant guy, and you had to follow him for like ever. And if you messed up even once, if he saw you, you went too fast, lost sight of him, or fell off a ledge, or whatever it was, you'd have to start the entire thing over again. And there was one towards the end of the game that was literally, you had to follow this guy for like 5 minutes. And I would always mess up right at the end, and it was like a big circle because you start at this bench and do this huge circle, and the base is literally just right around the corner from your bench. And I'm like, oh, I have to start all the way over even though my starting point is like 2 seconds away from... Anyways, very annoying. Wasn't a big fan of that. Thankfully, there are only 2 of those missions that I came across. There might be more, but those were the ones specifically that I wrote down. Other than that, I had a blast with the gameplay. I thought the combat was great. I loved the tools. I loved the smoke bombs, getting all those assassinations off. I also really loved the parry system. Once you kind of got a hang of it, it is a little weird at first, but once I figured it out, it was really fun to parry people, especially because once you parry them, you more or less one-shot them. So that was a lot of fun. I personally really enjoyed the map or the location of Baghdad. It wasn't too big or too small. It was big enough that there was plenty of stuff to do as you explore throughout Baghdad and even like the outer like desert parts of Baghdad. But also like it wasn't small to where you feel like you've seen the entire map. I thought it was cool that while you're in the actual like city of Baghdad, one, it's super dense, lots of people doing their everyday activities, and as you do more things, your wanted meter goes up. And it was kind of crazy because as you're going throughout the city, civilians will see you and they'll be like, that's the guy, guards, and the next thing you know, you got like 5 people trying to freaking attack you. So I thought that was cool. There's a bunch of wanted posters. You got to rip those off to get your wanted meter down. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the parkour system in the city of Baghdad, I personally just didn't find it all that. I guess it was fun, it was passable, but it still just feels a little bit janky. I just felt like I was always sticking to the walls a little too much, or it's kind of hard to put it into words, but it just didn't feel as smooth as I would want it to be. They also cut out a lot of the open world activities. If you played Odyssey or played Valhalla, you'll understand they had a ton of like world events. They had mini games, drinking games, like horse races. All that stuff is totally cut out from Mirage, and really there's not a whole lot of extra side activities to do while you're in Baghdad. So unfortunately, I mean, I think it's like a double-edged sword. I didn't play most of those things, but I did really like the minigame from Valhalla, and it's a shame that there's no like little minigame here. I mean, I guess they have the pickpocket thing, but I wouldn't really call that a minigame. It's just pressing triangle behind somebody. So, but overall, I thought the new location, and specifically the map of Baghdad, I thought was really great. Moving into my final thoughts. I thought Assassin's Creed Mirage was awesome. I thought it was great. I loved that we were actually assassins again. I also think that they did a really great job of taking a lot of those things that we loved about the original games, like the more stealth focused, more story focused, and combining it with some of the more modernized things that they've been doing in Odyssey and Valhalla. Like specifically like the Assassin's focus is very much more of a, I would say, Valhalla type of thing, but I still thought it was a good blend of some of the old and the new stuff that they've been doing. I also loved the combat. I loved stealthing around and getting a ton of assassinations off. I thought that was awesome. I thought the location of Baghdad was also really great, and then just the story itself. Basim's story I thought was really great. I thought the characters were really good. I thought the voice acting was really great. As I mentioned, there are some high points that I don't think were quite as high as Valhalla, but overall a very fantastic story. And that is why I'm going to give Assassin's Creed Mirage an 8 out of 10. Thanks to everyone that made it this far in the video. You guys are freaking awesome. I appreciate everything you guys do for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel. So until then, I'm Fossil21, and I'll see you guys on the next video.